Okay, listen, we're back on the Morning Brew, and we always start the business week with visiting with folks at Albuquerque Business First.
Yes, first and foremost.
Yeah, indeed. Rachel Sams is here. She's Editor-In-Cheir of Albuquerque Business First. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be
How
back.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Good.
Good.
It's Monday.
It is Monday. We're going to talk about health insurance at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning. You guys
Oh
are
my
brave.
gosh.
Brave to be up for that.
But we got our coffee. We're here.
Armed and dangerous.
We're ready.
I like it. I like it. We took a look this past week. Actually, 4 of our reporters and editors in our newsroom teamed up to ask businesses here in town how they're dealing with health insurance for their employees with the Affordable Care Act being a reality now, how things have changed. And we got some different responses. Some people said health insurance is something my employees expect. It's something I have to do. That hasn't changed. And other people have just bailed out and stopped offering coverage to their employees.
Interesting.
But really across the board, what we're seeing from all of them, they're all saying their costs have gone up. And so they're weighing that decision, whether they can go ahead and continue investing in coverage for their employees or not. And we had some really different responses. We had some businesses talked with a federal contractor that does some marketing and communications work, Vox Optima, their owner, Merritt Allen. She said, my employees, I cover 100% of healthcare costs, and that is not going to change. They expect that. And in her industry, she feels like that's a competitive issue. If she doesn't offer it, other employers that she's competing with probably would. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we talked with Neil and Tawana Heiss, who run Simco, the manufacturing firm down in Belen.
Yes.
And they had a very different experience. They actually stopped providing coverage to their employees after 40 years as a result of when they started pricing policies, the same kinds of policies they'd always had. They said they found the costs had gone up 150%. And so they said, we can't do this. And when our reporter, Dennis Domzalski, talked with Tawana Heiss, the wife and the husband and wife that runs the business, he said, how do you feel about the Affordable Care Act? And she said, I'm pissed. So that story actually, it got a lot of reaction from our readers. It was one of our most read stories last month. And Diane Denish actually wrote in and wrote a commentary taking issue with the Simco owner's remarks. She said they're taking a political position and maybe they didn't go out and shop around. Yeah, exactly. It's very much a political issue, and it's a huge business issue too. That's why it affects so many people. So as we noticed that people were getting so there were so many opinions floating around out there about this issue, we actually posed a question to our readers. We asked them how much of healthcare coverage they think an employer should provide for their staff. So, thinking about Business First audience of business owners and executives, we asked them, should they provide 30% of the cost, 50%, none of it, or all of it? Take a guess where you think people kind of shook out on that.
50%?
Yeah, I was going to go with 50%.
Yeah, that's actually right on.
I'm just guessing, yeah.
That's totally right on. About half of the people who responded to our poll said employers should provide 50%. A smaller percentage, probably about 12%, said 30%. Probably about 15% said they should pay all of it, and then about 25% said none of it. So there is a big philosophical divide about this issue, and business owners are just having to make such difficult choices. These cost increases are coming at a time that's very challenging economically for businesses. We know that Albuquerque's economy is struggling, so these companies are trying to decide, as they're struggling with sales and continuing to provide services, they have to figure out whether they can keep covering these increasing costs for their employees. And health insurance is such a competitive benefit when you're trying to attract a great staff.
Absolutely.
That can be a big difference in someone's deciding to take a job. What kind of coverage can they get for themselves and their family? Sometimes it can be the deciding factor. So businesses are really, they're facing a lot of pressures and a lot of challenges in making those decisions.
And then in a year and a half, we're going to have a new administration.
Yeah,
so
true.
What about that?
That's the other thing. There are a lot of businesses that have they've been able to put off making this decision so far because some of the mandates have been delayed. So there are some companies that really haven't quite faced up to it yet, but it's coming. You know, they're going to have to make that decision in the future.
Indeed.
So it's a really
The insurance itself is just not this wonderful deal because of the high deductible. And that's another roadblock to this thing. Because a healthy person, the deductible that I have, for example, I'd have to go to the doctor every 2 weeks to use it up.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks for a year to use up the deductible before the insurance kicks in.
Totally. I'm really glad you mentioned that. One of the brokers that we talked with, and those are folks that help businesses buy insurance for their employees, she said, you know, those folks who maybe had pre-existing conditions, they were already sick, those folks will gain under the Affordable Care Act, because that was one of the main goals, was to get coverage for everyone, whether they had health issues or not.
Right.
And people who didn't have access to care before will win. She said the people who will really face challenges are the people who were already healthy and were paying their premiums, because now their premiums are going up. They can't get their same plan because all of the types of coverage out there are changing. So that population is going to have a lot of challenges.
It makes you question the value of writing that check every month to the insurance company, because on one hand, you know that it's just money going out that you're not going to see back, but on the other hand, you got to protect yourself from anything catastrophic. So it's on the horns of a dilemma.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the stress of all of it can make you sick.
Good point,
Totally.
Maybe that's what they want.
Preventative care was supposed to be the idea, but if you're stressing about your health insurance, it's probably not quite anymore.
You know, it'd be nice, I think, for business people to hear from the politicians that they understand this and they're going to fix it. Okay, the law's here. But now what are you going to do to make it better?
Right, exactly.
Instead of everybody taking sides and defending the law and all this stuff, it's clearly not working right. And somebody needs to step up and say, you know,
there's an obvious mistake going on. There's something wrong here.
Yeah, why perpetuate a mistake? This is why we pay the leaders the big bucks. They should be in there fixing it, but there's no will to do that.
It is such a, it's such a huge endeavor that it probably will take a number of years for everything to really get sorted out and for us to really understand it. And yet, that dialogue about the political back and forth is still going on at the same time. So.
Right. Wow, fascinating. And I know you guys tried to take an unbiased approach to this. Am I right on that?
Absolutely.
I have not read the article.
What we are trying to do is, we're not coming down on any side. We're talking with businesses about what they're doing about it and how it's affecting them.
Right?
Exactly. That's what we see our job as journalists, is
Good,
to
bad,
hold
and
up that
ugly.
mirror. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you found some businesses out there that love this, and they think that it's the best thing since cupcakes.
Did you?
Well, actually, we did find some businesses who say they like the options that are out there, and some that say they've saved money. But all of them have said that costs are a challenge, and that navigating the system is a challenge because it's so complicated. It seems like most businesses say you really need some help to make sense of it all.
For all the administrative duties.
Oh, absolutely. And just the plans themselves are very complex, and there are a lot of different choices. So really getting down to the nitty-gritty of what would benefit you takes a lot of time and effort.
On the other side, and I told you before the segment, I personally know 2 physicians that are closing their practices as a result of all this stuff going on.
Right,
They just don't want to deal with it.
Absolutely. And you made a good point that we already have a shortage of doctors in New Mexico. So
this one physician, his office is right near us here, and he'll be closing down, I think, August 15th.
yeah.
And those patients are going to have to find some place to go.
We can't afford to lose doctors, Larry. That's
No. He's going to go on vacation.
permanent vacation.
says,
And you know what? I don't blame him.
No more paperwork for me.
Yeah,
He's,
I'm done.
He's moving on.
I don't need this. Wow. Okay, Rachel, this is the cover story in Albuquerque Business First. If you'd like to read it in detail, there you go. I like the pill thing. That's good.
Our designer did a great job.
Did a great job. And Albuquerque Business First is also available online.
Absolutely.
And you can subscribe there as well.
AlbuquerqueBusinessFirst.com.
Wow. Great
Excellent
stuff.
reporting, too, by the way.
Thank you.
You have a great staff.
We always
Thank you.
enjoy
We
talking
do. We
with
have
you.
wonderful, wonderful folks.
Rachel, thank you. Rachel Sam is Editor-in-Chief of Albuquerque Business First. We're going to keep it on the business vein here when we continue. Bernalillo County will be invading the show here in just
All
a
right,
minute.
get ready.
County Commissioner Lonnie Talbert will be here. There's a family business workshop that we want you to be aware of, and that's next. Later on, venture capitalist Bill Bice will be here, and have a certified financial planner coming by. It's a meaty show today.
I like it.
Yeah. We'll be back in a second here on the Morning Brew.